Well, boys and girls, we're going down another rabbit hole. This time, we're going to make a cowboy hat. It's something I've always wanted to make. And you know what that means? That's right, more tools. Along with the hat block, which you see in the video here at the beginning, I need to make a brim cutter. What is a brim cutter? A brim cutter is a tool used in hat making to precisely trim and shape the brim of a hat. What's the brim of the hat? The brim of the hat is that wide projecting edge that it extends outward from the base of the crown being the tall part in the middle. The brim cutter ensures a clean, even cut, allowing hat makers to customize the width and style of the hat brim according to their preference. So we're making a cowboy hat. I need a brim cutter to cut the wool felt that I'll be using. I'm going to be using a wool felt. There's more expensive felts. There is Angora felt, and there is beaver hide felt. So though the beaver apparently is the most expensive felt, I'm not going for that first. This is my first attempt. I'm going to be using a wool felt. In the intro, I was making a template of the brim cutter. I traced the edges of the hat block. I took the radius, or I traced the radius of the brim cutter for the brim cutter. What you see there is that T-shaped, that's called the T-bone. So that's the tracing of the hat block at its widest portion, widest radius. What I'll do is I'll take that T-bone and I will insert it into the base, which I'm working on. It'll slide back and forth, which will adjust the width of the brim. I will be adding a 9mm blade to the end of the brim cutter, which will be used to cut the felt. It's not a difficult design. I cut the T-bone. We're calling it a T-bone out of plywood. I placed it on the base and 2 small pieces of plywood on either end just to create the slot that the T will slide back and forth. I made a little bracket for the blade, just like an L shape. It'll be screwed into the end of the base, which will keep it firmly in place for making the cut. You see a slot cut into the T. That's to adjust the width of the brim. What I've done is I've inserted a threading into the base. I will add a 1/4 inch 20 bolt to a knob, which will screw into that threading, which will tighten the T from sliding back and forth. Or we'll tighten the T to prevent it from sliding back and forth, thereby fixing the width of the brim which you're going to cut. So after I sand it down properly, I'm going to take a stain. It's one of my favorite stains on plywood. It's an Ipswich pine is what it's called. It's a gel. I'll stain it, let it set overnight, let it dry properly, and then we'll continue. Okay, let's see where we're at here. I have a block here, threaded insert with 2 ends. I've cut this out on the bandsaw here. Basically, you know what it is. I've got a little slot in the middle for the adjustments. It fits like this. It's a homemade knob here. Basically, it's got another thread here, and I've got it attached with a nut at the bottom. Got a washer. I've added some measurements, just put some grooves in here and went through it with a marker just to mark it. So 3, 4, 5 inches. Starts at 2.5. I'm using a 9mm blade. It will get added here in the center. I cut this out of metal and I actually used nail polish to paint it. It's a nice enamel. First time I've done that, to tell you the truth. Gets screwed in here, like so. Actually, let's do that. You don't even have to tighten it very much to have it firm in there. Just as a protection, this will go. I'll just add some CA glue, some crazy glue. We'll just adhere it there. So that's it. So we're just basically, let's adjust it to 3 inch. We want a 3-inch brim, actually a 3.5-inch brim. There we have it. And That'll be like that. I won't do that now. I'm working on a hat block, so here's your hat. And you just nicely go around. So what I'm thinking is I have a piece of brass. Like so. What I'm thinking about doing is, here, let me take this out. What I think I'm going to try to do is cut a piece of brass, the thickness, so 3/4 inches, attach it in the middle, add some screws to the both ends, and when you tighten it, it'll lift it and decrease the radius. We'll have it curved, put some screws, put some threading, screw it in, it'll decrease the radius slightly. So we'll try that. And we'll see if it fits. Who knows if it does or not. So here, let me do that now. So we're going to take the thickness. So it's 3/4 inch. So what am I doing? What am I even measuring? The only question is, the screw's going to stick out. Right? It has to be like a micro screw. I think this is good. We'll sand aside, we'll polish it. This is going to be good, I think. I think it'll hold. And if I add some epoxy, it'll be good. The some screws. Definitely need epoxy. It's stripped. You can barely feel it. We'll sand it down and we'll polish it a bit. So that's good. Could be ruining it here, but no matter. See, go to hold it in. I'll take that in there. Let's see this out. Well, there you have it. Oh, wait, let's do this part. Well, boys and girls, there you have it. You want to decrease the radius. You just tighten the bolts, the screws, the bolts actually. That'll decrease the radius. Flatten it out a bit. Wider hat brim. There you go. We're right at 2 3/8 here. So, thanks for joining. Another successful build here on The Phil Hobbyist. See you guys. Bye.